Hey YouTube, this is Firewizard23. I just wanted to make this video because I've had a lot of questions from people asking me how I got my book published, The Twin Blades and the Doomchasm Brigands. Specifically, the question was posed by Maximus Macridia. Maximus Madrica. There we go. Maximus Madrica. Wanted to know how exactly I got my book published, so let me just explain the whole process. First, of course, I have to have my manuscript, which, for those who don't know, the manuscript is basically the book, what you've written out for the entire story. All written out and typed. When I first wanted to book publish, my first thought was that the public book publishers, Simon & Schuster, Scholastic and stuff, I didn't think they would really be interested in what I'd written, specifically because I felt there were just parts I never actually submitted to them at all. And when I did a book search for book publishers, I found the company I published with, which is called Authorhouse, which is a private book publisher. Here's the big difference between private and public book publishing. In the public sector of book publishing, Simon & Schuster, Authorhouse, the big names, your book has to meet their style. It has to meet what they would publish for their clientele. So, for example, Harry Potter, to be published under Scholastic, had to have certain qualities in it, or should I say, had to lack certain things in it to be publishable. For example, I think Scholastic is mostly teens and young adults, teens, young adults, and kids. So I don't think they would want very dark storylines and stuff. I don't know what to say about the other book publishers, but moving on. So when I found private book publishing says that you pay a certain amount of money and they will publish your book. And Authorhouse specifically, they sent me this whole guide and explained to me, I can get this and this and this if I pay certain amounts of money. Specifically, I paid $698 for my current contract that I have with them for publishing books. It was only supposed to last 2 years, but it has now actually gone on 3 years. I've received no notification of any type from Authorhouse that it's actually going to end. And I've contacted them, and they've confirmed that. So yeah, first you need the manuscript. Basically, it's pretty much you pay, they publish. They will send you a contract indicating what kinds of things you can purchase for the... for example, I could purchase... what do you call them? Publishing kits that they'll give me full-color posters and stuff if I wanted to set up a booth somewhere to sell books. Literacy selling guides and stuff, all this other stuff. So that was pretty cool, but I was just basically interested in the publishing. Then, once you've submitted your manuscript and stuff, now you have to understand this is private book publishing, so certain things that the public sector does, the private sector does not do. For example, the public sector, I'm pretty sure a proofread, or a professional edit and proofread is something that's part of it. That was never done to my book. It was never looked at by, as long as it didn't contain just certain key things. For example, I couldn't publish a book on how to kill people or something like that. I couldn't do that. As long as it wasn't certain just completely taboo ideas, I could publish the book. It didn't matter what it was or anything. But nobody ever looked at the book, so it never went through a professional editing process. My process of doing that was simply giving it to one of my friends and saying, will you just read through this? And I thank God I did. Phyllis Green, if you're hearing this, you are a wonderful lady, and she read through the whole thing in a couple days, and she loved it, but she pointed out all the typos and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god. And so I went through the manuscript just rapidly fixing things as quickly as I could. It's still not perfect, but I'm very happy that she did that. There then happens, once they get the manuscript and stuff, they look over and say, okay, because they just put it through a scanning machine just to make sure there's no weird ideas in it that they can't publish. You have a conversation with a publishing editor who describes, for example, what you're seeing on the screen, describes what this cover was going to look like. I went through a series of pictures I had available on Shutterstock.com, and I found the exact image I wanted, this particular one. I had them crop it and stuff so it would fit the book nicely. Because I was like, oh, I don't want that stuff on the right, I don't want that stuff on the left. And we picked the font for all the pages, what would be on the upper left of each page, what would be on the upper right of each page, where my book numbers would be located, all that little stuff. So yeah, and they said it was going to take like 3 months, and I think it's just like, oh, we think it's going to take up to 3 months. But this was finished in like 3 weeks. We had this whole thing put together, and they sent me my very first promotional copy of it just for me, and I was like, oh my god, it's my book. This is so cool. And after that point, this is another big difference of the private book publishing. They are print on demand. Every book that is, for example, if you go to Amazon.com right now and you buy this book, they will print this book and ship it to you. It's not like they print a whole bunch of them at once to build up this large supply. These are printed as they are needed. So when you do this, you kind of have to be your own self-publisher. I myself, a self-promoter, I myself purchased like 50 of these out of my own pocket, and I was able to get... Oh, that's another thing you set. You actually set the selling price. I set the price that you get this off of Authorhouse.com, as well as the price off Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Borders, all those different places. But I bought a lot of these out of my own pocket and went to bookstores around my town and stuff and just had them shelve it. And I also have like a bunch of libraries carry it and stuff just so I can get some personal self-promotion myself. And I haven't gotten like a whole bunch of stuff, but I've generally been very pleased with what I've developed. I myself am astonished that I actually published a book with my current profession of being a math teacher. So yeah, that's pretty much all there was to it. I intend to go back to them for publishing again because I absolutely adored the process I went through because it was very, very simple. And yeah, that's about it. If anybody has any other questions, please post them at the bottom of the video. I'll answer them if I can, and happy publishing. Take care.